On a quiet street in Pensacola, Florida in the US, a family is coming apart. A phone call made late at night, and by morning, nothing about that house will ever be the same again. Adriana Olsen lived an ordinary life in Pensacola. She was a mother, she was a wife, and for years she held her family together. But by 2022, that balance was slipping. Her marriage was unraveling, slowly and painfully. Arguments turned into silence, silence turned into separation. And inside the same house lived her 18-year-old son, David, old enough to understand what's happening, but too young to know how to process it. To David, the separation doesn't feel mutual. In his mind, there was a cause, and that cause had a name, his mother. According to later interviews, David believed that Adriana was tearing the family apart, choosing her own happiness over keeping everyone together. That belief became the lens through which he saw everything. Every argument, every absence, every change in routine. Resentment settled in quietly at first, but then it stayed. This wasn't a sudden snapping point, okay? There was no single explosive argument. Instead, there was fixation. David was fixated. Investigators would later say David's anger became focused, not outwards and scattered, but aimed. And once anger has direction, it becomes very, very dangerous. At some point, David found a shotgun kept in the house. Not during a fight, not in a panic, quite deliberately. So later that night, Adriana makes a decision of her own. Something inside the house feels wrong. The arguments, the tensions, her son's anger. So she reaches for the only person who might be able to step in before things escalate further. She picks up a phone and calls her estranged husband, Darren. She asks him to come to the house. We don't know what she planned to say when he arrived. We don't know what she hoped would happen next. But the call itself tells us this. She believed the situation could be stopped, it could be fixed. When Darren arrived at the house, there was no argument in progress, no shouting, no chaos, just silence. Inside, he found his son holding the shotgun, and he found his wife already passed away. The worst moment of his life had already happened. Police arrived quickly. David didn't run. He didn't resist, and he didn't deny what he'd done. In interviews later released, David speaks calmly, explaining his feelings, his thoughts, his justification. There's no visible panic. That calmness becomes one of the most unsettling parts of this case. One detail stands out though. During questioning, father and son sit together. The tone isn't confrontational, it's supportive, protective, almost gentle. Viewers who later watch the footage struggle to explain why it feels wrong. Not because of aggression, but because of how normal it feels after something so horrific. This case never goes to trial. Instead, a plea deal. Murder becomes manslaughter. David Olsen is sentenced to roughly 10 years in prison for killing his mother. For many watching, that sentence feels impossibly small. For the family, nothing feels resolved. Adriana Olsen is gone. Her son will spend years behind bars thinking about one irreversible choice he made. And a house on a quiet street in Pensacola now holds nothing else but echo. Because sometimes the most dangerous moment isn't rage, it's resentment, left alone to grow and to fester. Until next time.